Hi there. Um, so I was thinking about lots of sensible, interesting things to talk about today, but um, the reality is that I've been putting off starting today's at all because I'm feeling extremely tired. And so that's going to be what I'm talking about today. Um, it's I was going to insert a pause like that later to demonstrate my point, but actually that was entirely unintentional. And this is a sort of phenomenon that it's much harder to hide isn't quite the right word. It's not like I keep this a secret, but compensate for on video, um, which is that there's a really big difference in terms of how much you can function in text versus video. And there are often, and like entire days I experience where I just don't have a great deal of function. And this manifests as having like perfectly coherent written conversations on Discord or Twitter or WhatsApp or whatever, where if you were to try to talk to me in person, I would just end up staring vacantly into space at you. Or I would do the thing that that you saw just earlier, where essentially my brain stalls out mid sentence. I don't really like using the phrase chronic fatigue to describe what I experience, uh, which I think is probably more like disability imposter syndrome than it is necessarily because what I experience isn't chronic fatigue. Certainly, it is fatigue and it is chronic, um, and it's not nearly as bad as many people describe their like full-blown chronic fatigue syndrome, and a great deal of it is clearly related to um, sorry, I'm stalling hang out again, is clearly related to either like quite well understood physical problems or is probably like partially depression in nature. um, Today it is essentially what happened was that because I had the like significant digestive trouble all over the weekend, that just takes a lot out of me. And then yesterday, I was not having a great day, and I decided to try and push through it, and ended up on a completely pointless 2 hour long drive, or 2.5 hours closer, where I was like, it's fine, I can go to IKEA, completely ignoring my girlfriend's very sensible advice that no, David, it's a bank holiday, you should not go to IKEA. Um, and Getting to IKEA and discovering that like literally physically couldn't park, which is almostly irrelevant to the story, except that it means that I had 2.5 hours of driving, which is quite a lot on any given, like on a good day. And doing that on top of a bad day just ended up meaning that all of yesterday afternoon and evening was spent in like borderline fugue state. I use the term drifting to refer to essentially that state where you're not really doing anything useful. You're doom scrolling, you're watching YouTube. Um, if like slightly higher quality drifting for me is reading trashy fiction, usually internet web serial level garbage, like Royal Road, Lit RPG, that type of thing. But anyway, essentially, it's doing low quality activities because um, I'm not having I don't have I describe it as I don't have the function to do higher quality activities, and this isn't strictly true because what inst- what it feels like is that in response to some sort of external pressure, I can switch from a drifting state to a non-drifting state. Like having another person around will usually um, achieve that. Will usually like give me enough of an anchor to essentially phrase that I use in my head, which feels very dark, but but it does describe the experience like temporarily coalesce back into being a person. It's like something like this where I have to function in real time is essentially the same sort of thing, where I can pull myself together long enough to essentially maintain a function, but it's something that's very hard to self-generate the impetus for. It's something that sometimes it takes, no, usually it takes a lot out of me. Honestly, sometimes it's restorative. There's a meme I like of the sort of the going for a stupid little walk for your stupid little mental and physical health, which is a good example of the sort of thing where if I can pull myself together long enough to actually achieve this, I will usually feel a bit more functional afterwards. But it's far from a sure thing. Anyway, this has all been very depressing, but that was 5 minutes. So bye for now, and I will see you in the next video.